Oh, I turned off my mic audio. That was dumb. Make sure it's coming back on the live feed. Oh, I turned off my mic audio. Alright, so we're gonna join the C-SPAN. Put it in full screen and we'll do a proper introduction. Good evening, everyone. It is almost midnight, Eastern Standard Time. Right now, the United States government is on the verge of a shutdown. You're looking at a live feed of the United States Senate trying to avert a shutdown. Good evening, everyone. It is almost midnight. I'm just playing it back here to see how it looks. Right now. And I'm sorry if it's lagging on the computer, but this was very important that I had to do this. And if not, I can get a radio feed of C-SPAN too if I'm that desperate. That's odd. Are we offline? Looks like we're offline at the moment. Hey, we're coming back. That's better. We're back. Now C-SPAN's acting up too, so I thought this would work, but apparently when you have two things at once going on with the computer, it doesn't favor it. Alright, so they're just voting right now. Story goes, senators started voting at 10:14 on a motion to limit debate on a 4-week stopgap spending bill to fund the government through February 16th. The vote stands at 50 to 48 to limit the debate. 60 votes are needed to advance consideration. So it's looking like in 20 minutes the United States government is going to shut down. That's the situation that I have right now. Apparently it's not cooperating, so we're gonna have to click off of this. I'm sorry, everyone, but we're just gonna have to listen to a radio feed and just react. And in the background, I'm gonna listen to Let's Talk Elections feed because he's live right now as well, so I can do it from my phone. So this is how I'm gonna multitask. I'm gonna have Let's Talk Elections feed right now because he's watching CNN Tonight with Don Lemon, and you know that's his thing. But I'm trying to watch C-SPAN, so C-SPAN's not on at the moment as we speak. But it's possible we can get a radio feed on, and also maybe at midnight we'll try to put 1010 Wins on if possible and see how they're gonna break the story. But this is getting interesting. I will say that. Now this is odd. There's a C-SPAN app. I wish there was a way to see if C-SPAN would. Here's the thing, like, Let's Talk Elections is a moderate guy. Like, he's more. Oh boy. And I'm sorry if I'm just showing my computer. Oh no, he has Brian Stelter on! No! I don't like Brian Stelter, he's a weakling! Ah! And as I said, I'm really sorry that I can't put C-SPAN 2 accurately on right now, but I might just, I might flip to the C-SPAN radio feed if possible. There is a way to get it, but, you know, the thing is, it's just. Just hearing Don Lemon makes me upset. I listen to Ingram on her podcast, but oof. So I'm sorry if I can't get a feed on right now, but I like to hear what these C-SPAN people are talking about. Yeah, we're gonna have to listen to it on the C-SPAN website because they're gonna be the only neutral network we're gonna find right now. I love how he uses the LTE uses the thing over there in the background, like, oh look, it's Super Mario 64. Well, we are in a state of emergency in terms of our government, but oof. Okay, so now we're gonna try to get C-SPAN radio on. I'm trying my best to get it. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Would keep the government funded past President Trump's State of the Union address. It's going to be on January 30th. He says he expects the agreement could be reached before the midnight deadline. Now, that's in 20 minutes at this point. A potential deal would be a turnaround after Democrats emerged from their caucus meeting with a pretty bad outlook about the chances of keeping the government open. It also comes after Democrats, with the help of some Republican senators, voted against this House-passed bill, this House CR that would have kept the government open through mid-February. And again, that's some reporting by The Hill tonight. Taking your phone calls, we've got a call from Oxnard, California, independent line. John, thanks for waiting, and you've got the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll try to be brief. I've heard a lot of talk about government workers being laid off, 800,000 or something like that. What about the 4.5 million contractors who work directly for the government? And there's probably 5 or 6 million who would work indirectly for the government. Why don't they talk about laying off some of those contractors? No one has talked about that. I'd like to hear somebody's opinion on that. Why are the contractors not being mentioned to lay some of them off instead of just the government workers only? That's it.
All right, John, thanks. And Oxnard, California, do you want to weigh in on what things are looking like there in terms of this shutdown? People worried? You worried directly?
Well, I've seen this before. I'm not as worried about it as I used to be because this is nonsense.
Alright, so now they're just taking callers on WCSP-FM, and I think what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using my... Let me try to get window capture on. Can we get window capture on? So that way OBS doesn't keep showing up. Okay, good. So I just enabled the setting on OBS to be... No, we want to keep display capture. Okay, so we're going to remove that. Ooh, my goodness. I'm sorry, everyone. I did something dumb. Okay, display capture. Remove. Yes, we're going to get rid of display capture. Okay, so now you're looking at the thing, and I can listen to it through my headset. I want to lower it, because if I'm hearing it through my headphones, then that'll be annoying. Because I only have it low right now because of all this. Because I want to have on the background that, and I want to have LTE in the background. Well, that's an interesting call. Some guy claimed that we are in the same situation with Obama. I might as well do some other political stuff if anybody's curious. So in Maryland today, Chelsea Manning announced that she was running for Senate. And considering, number one, I'm not legally registered to vote in the state of Maryland because, number one, I don't want to deal with jury duty stuff. Because driving 4 hours to New York to do that would be ridiculous. And two, I just want to show you how crazy this is. I might pull up a website, see if any update comes up. There should be like a blog that says, "Oh, what's going on over there?" Yeah, so if you Google this, this is what comes up. You see like 2 articles of Chelsea Manning that come up.
For the government to send home non-essentials, I think if they're non-essentials, they're non-essentials and they don't come back to work. They find a public job. I know I work in the healthcare, and if my job was considered non-essential, I would be looking for a different job.
And is this going to have
an
impact?
Non-essential job is a non-essential job.
Yeah. What's the impact? Do you see anything directly for you in terms of being in healthcare, at Children's Health Program, or other things like that with the shutdown?
Well, apparently it will affect the CHIP program. Mm-hmm. So I would think that the Democrats would want to get this passed, especially if they're coming up to be voted on to keep their cush job and their great salary that they get. You would think that they would want to pass it for the CHIP program. The way I see it affecting me directly is my son, who served in the service, is disabled from the service, so I'm not sure what's going to happen to his military disability, and my mother is on Social Security. So what is going to happen with that when her paycheck from Social Security is supposed to go in the bank at the end of the month? So I can see it affecting me that way, but I'm thinking that the failure of this lays directly of Chuck Schumer.
And Teresa,
should never involve DACA.
You mentioned your mom. Social Security, just want to read it off this article. Checks for existing benefits issued. New applications may be delayed. And then your son, in terms of Veterans Administration hospitals stay open. Benefit checks are issued. New benefit applications and pending claims will not be processed under the shutdown. So just a little bit of information there. Hopefully that will help. And let's go on to another call here as well. Hot Springs, Arkansas, independent line. We've got Ann waiting. Ann, go ahead.
Yes, I've been listening to everyone, and people can't pinpoint what's the problem. But I've been studying a lot about the Communist Party, and they have an agenda. And if you read the book, The Naked Communist, he's got them listed there. You can find them in other places. People have talked about this. And one of them is to infiltrate both sides of the aisle, the Democrats and the Republicans. They're working kind of behind the scenes. John F. Kennedy tried to warn us about this. Reagan tried to warn us. Hollywood is taken over by it. The media, that's their goal. This is their goal, is to infiltrate these things and try to sabotage the American thought pattern to their pattern and try to destroy what we had, our founding fathers had established. You know, you hear, oh, the Constitution is old and outdated. That's what they set up. They set up everything so it would not be taken over by another entity. And that's what that guy was saying. And you can tell where these people stand by if they're for something else besides the American people and the American way of life, then you can tell where they come from, what side of the aisle, or if they're a card-carrying communist, you can tell by their voice. You can tell it on TV.
Alright, I'm gonna mute this, because this is just somebody who's fearing of another political party right now. I do agree with her. You know, Hollywood has controlled our minds, and this is what me and Frank Tadero talk about on our weekly political talk show, is that they try to make us believe in one thing, but they can't relate to us, the average American. I'm chopping frames at the moment, but really doesn't matter, because I'm trying to get the blog, but I can't get the blog up right now. I thought there'd be a blog that we could follow, but apparently... Okay, here's Google Plus. It's trying to Yeah, so right now, I'm listening on my headset. I have WCSP from Washington, D.C. on right now. So it makes sense that they're doing this coverage. That's odd. I can't seem to get the blog up. So, WCSP is reporting right now that when the shutdown does happen, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell will speak at midnight. And that's the update I can give until this blog somehow loads. Because I thought Politico would be a good source to use tonight, but looking like not where we're going to get our result in. But I got to agree that, what triggered Trump was that they wanted to talk about DACA, and it looked like Trump wanted to do something on DACA, but nothing got done. Because Trump, again, I'm a New Yorker, okay? I know Donald Trump very well. He's a very egotistical man, very arrogant. And over the years before he got into politics, how do you think all those buildings he has in Manhattan were built? Because he was old school New Yorker, old school big shot Manhattan guy, and that's what happened over the years. He's trying to put that into politics, but this is politics. This isn't real estate. This isn't, something that he's been doing for years. He doesn't negotiate with finance groups. We're talking about lifelong politicians like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. Okay. So this is the live blog right now on Politico. Nothing has been updated yet. But this is a live blog. I'm pulling it up right now. It's looking like the inevitable is going to happen at midnight, unfortunately. I am very sorry for saying that, but it's looking like it. It's really looking like it at this point. Yeah, because right now they're just taking calls on WCSP right now. Looking like we can't get a blog as we speak, but... And again, I can't pull up anything that involves a stream, but a video stream, because then it will slow down the computer. But looking like this blog is not loading, and we're just gonna have to keep WCSP online at the moment. And I could try to pull up 1010 wins, but it's gonna be rough to try to pull it up. I could try iTunes Radio, but what's that gonna do, right? Trying to pull up iTunes, but nothing's gonna work because this computer can't handle so many apps at once. Let me put C-SPAN radio on in the background. I had it on mute because it's just nonsense. But put it on a little bit. There we go. That's reasonable level. Try iTunes Radio. What's that gonna do, right? least the good thing is, again, I fixed the OBS, so nothing's gonna work because this computer can't handle so many apps at once. Okay.
Responsible for whom they elect, but you know, when you've got go all the way back to '06, people voted on the Iraq War. They voted on policy issues. They don't vote on process that leads to this kind of train wreck.
Unfortunately, iTunes is not pulling up, so I'm gonna have to look for a 1010 win stream. I should have had. Okay. See, C-SPAN's more friendly with their radio stream. WCSP is a very reasonable thing. Okay, let me try it. Unfortunately, iTunes is not pulling up, so I'm gonna have to look for a 1010 stream. Oh, finally, iTunes loads up.
And, you know, Democrats and Republicans are able to work together. It's been proven in the past when you can look at other bills that have been pushed through. The fact that they can't seem to work together with a budget is just stupid, petty infighting. And while I personally won't be affected, my brother's in the military. He'll be impacted.
Yeah, play that. It's trying to load.
Calling from Dayton, literally right down the street, is Wright
sec.
Patterson Air Force Base. Thousands of people who work there will be impacted. Everybody, I'm sure, all of the government employees are sick and tired of being put on.
Now iTunes is freezing.
Government shutdown, and now it's imminent. Congressmen, Republicans, Democrats,
now let's listen to C-SPAN radio right now, and I'll put my mic on mute.
The moment the government shuts down, they should not receive a paycheck, and they can work together. They're just choosing not to.
That sounds like a consensus on the lawmakers not getting their own paycheck as well. Thanks for the call, Jerry. Curtis Bay, Maryland, Republican. Robert, you're next.
Thank you for taking my call. I don't think it really amazes me that the Democrats are so brainwashed by the media. For one, you have 51 senators that are Republicans. You have 49 that are Democrats. Only 4 Republicans aren't voting for this bill. So if the Democrats out there can't see that their party is the reason that this budget isn't going to be passed and this country's going to shut down, then they're fools. Then they're fools. I mean, you need 60 votes, people. 60. And that's what I'm hearing. All these Democrats, blah, 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 blah. It's the Republicans' fault. 4 Republicans have voted no. How many Democrats has voted yes? 0. 0. And that's the problem with this country. Pelosi, Schumer, nothing but hot air. Anything that, this is why I voted for Trump. I'm tired of these Democrats and Republicans going back and forth and back and forth. They never agree on anything.
And Robert, just to let you know, 5 Democrats voted in favor of this. A lot of them in states up for re-election in 2018 this year. So they did. A couple crossovers from the Republican side. Rand Paul voted against it. A number of others. So there was some crossover, I think, for Republicans.
Okay, five Democrats out of how many?
Right. Almost half. Yeah, exactly.
No, 5 Democrats out of 49?
Right.
Okay, so what's the reason this country's going to, shut down Monday?
Right.
Democrats or Republicans. If they can't see that, you need 60 votes, people. But the media is, everything that Trump has did, the Democrats
The message came back to, and it's Democrats who just simply want a shutdown. That is the message you will continue to hear from here.
A 4-day sentencing hearing wrapped up Friday in Lansing, Michigan for former USA gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar. More than 80 women testify they were victims of his sexual abuse, many as children, including Morgan McCall.
Your betrayal has caused me countless sleepless nights. When I do find sleep, I'm plagued with nightmares, and when I wake up, I'm living one.
Prosecutors have asked for a 40-year prison sentence. Nassar has already been sentenced to 60 years on a federal sentence for child.
The LIE between Greenpoint Avenue and Van Dam, those folks might be avoiding the Midtown Tunnel where it's two-way traffic at a single tube for the overnight. And we're all jammed up at the...
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Andy's Randomness. I'm coming to you live on the air. The United States government is shut down right now. It's after midnight. We're going to listen to WINS here in New York right now. So here's the audio, and we'll go right back to C-SPAN radio after.
Because we have an accident blocking one lane, and on the inbound side, the delay is not too bad. Just tied up a little bit. The Lincoln and the Holland are doing well. Two-way traffic in 1-2, but the Battery Tunnel, the Midtown Tunnel, will be that way for the entire weekend. Traffic in transit every 10 minutes on the ones, and breaking traffic alerts whenever they happen. I'm Jeff Jensen on 1010 Wins.
I'll read you the latest news alert, which just crossed from AP. U.S. government shuts down as Congress fails to overcome standoff over spending in immigration. We have kind of a surreal scene, though, on the Senate floor. Let's go live now to ABC News correspondent Andy Field, who's in Washington. Andy?
This is like, as you mentioned earlier tonight, people waiting to do their term papers at the last minute and then missing the last minute. And that's exactly what happened here in the Senate tonight. There are senators all gathered around each other. Lindsey Graham seems to be the center of the conversation as they are desperately trying to do something so that when everyone wakes up in this country tomorrow morning, on Saturday morning, they don't see a government shutdown. But as you mentioned, the government has officially shut down now. The spending authority is gone. The White House issuing an extraordinary statement. I want to read this to you. We just received this here. This is a statement from the press secretary representing the President of the United States. Says, Senate Democrats own the Schumer shutdown. Tonight they put politics above national security, military families, vulnerable children, and our country's ability to serve all Americans. We will not negotiate the status of unlawful immigrants while Democrats hold our lawful citizens hostage over their reckless demands. And then the president's spokesman goes on to say this is the behavior of obstructionist losers, not legislators. When Democrats start paying our armed forces and first responders, we will reopen negotiations on immigration reform.
Andy, there had been plans for the president to travel Friday to Mar-a-Lago. They have a big bash scheduled there Saturday night to celebrate his first year in office, the one-year anniversary. Any word or indication as to what may or may not happen on that front?
We don't know the answer to that question yet, and because things are so fluid here in the Senate, we're told by Bob Corker, the Republican who does not get along particularly well with the president, that they are very close to making a deal. He said that perhaps he thought it would happen before midnight. It didn't, but perhaps it will happen in the next hour or so. And if that's the case, some Democrats are pushing for this extension to end the day before the president's State of the Union, which would embarrass the president and actually add more pressure to get a deal done before the president gets up and makes that big national speech.
All right, Andy, thank you. I really appreciate this. ABC's Andy Field live from Washington. Stay with 1010 Wins for the latest on this developing story. And we are just updating things every few moments because it's kind of a surreal situation. But technically now the U.S. government is shutting down, has shut down as of midnight. And as you just heard from Andy Field, the White House is blaming Democrats for that. Both sides actually are blaming the other side. Stay with 1010 Wins. Wins News Time 12:05. Two elderly women, twin sisters, identical twins actually. They found dead in a Brooklyn apartment.
Okay, I am back with my mic, and I was going to get a background photo for the rest of this stream, so that way it'd be fair to put the Democrat versus Republican here. So It'd be very fair for the audience, of course. So I'll go back to C-SPAN when something happens, and I'll put 1010 wins on when something does happen. But you just heard it on 1010 wins. The United States government shut down. It's officially midnight on the East Coast. So good. So I have the photo. We can pull it up. Got it. And that's the background photo where I'm going to be using tonight. I should have had it earlier, but I regret nothing. Okay. Can I shrink it? I think I could shrink it. Hang on, everyone. Yeah, I think that'd be reasonable. I'll get rid of the window, everyone. I apologize again about earlier, but okay, can we remove it? Yes. Okay, there we go. So make it a little bit bigger. It'd be great. Can fit the whole screen, maybe. Fortunately, this is how it's gonna have to look. We'll pull it up like this. So. That's better. Okay. So, situation's going like this right now. Democrats are blaming Republicans. Republicans are blaming Democrats. I blame it on... I'm an independent, so the way I view it is, obviously both are at fault here because, again, Trump didn't want to work on DACA. The Democrats kept forcing DACA. And DACA could have been negotiated later on, but now it's just trying to keep the government open. Now that's what the situation has transpired into at 12:08 a.m. and I might want to go to bed at 1 o'clock. So I don't know how long the stream is going to be up. If I have to start it up again tomorrow morning, I will do that. Probably after breakfast. I don't know how long I can keep it on tomorrow because I actually do have to go out because tomorrow is actually is Saturday. So Saturday is, of course, I'm going out for my mom's birthday. But let's I want to find out if WCSP is on iTunes, and if that's on, that'll be great because then that'll help. WCSP. Yeah, I don't see anything on WCSP, so that stinks. C-SPAN. Oh, C-SPAN is on here. Okay, perfect. I didn't know C-SPAN was on iTunes. We're gonna try to open up the URL.
If I was there, open can on every damn one of them. I mean, you know, I wouldn't care who it is. Bob Corker, like President Trump, fire every damn one of them.
Let me lower it. So right now, they're still taking calls on C-SPAN radio. So let's listen for a couple minutes.
I definitely think the divisiveness of this country has reached an all-time high, as we've seen with the callers from the Republican-Democrat lines. But I think we see it even clearer within the Senate, especially now. And I can't believe that blaming the Democrats for this utter failure of Donald Trump is even a thought in Republicans or independents or anybody's mind. This failure comes straight from the Republicans who controlled both the House and the Senate. I mean, they have 51 seats. They have the ability to get their actions completed. And, of course, the president won't veto any bills that come through a Republican party. But they have completely failed. You're talking about 9 Democrats. Those are the 9 Democrats because they need 60 votes. I'm sure they can get the 51 from their own party. And you're talking about 9 Democrats, and you're blaming the entire Democratic Party. But it's because the president is holding DACA hostage. He's holding this bill or this program hostage, letting these undocumented immigrants kind of sit in limbo while he tries to get funding for a border wall, which he originally said Mexico would pay for. I mean, it's the absurdity here is ridiculous. And now myself and plenty of my friends who are all federal workers here in Maryland are at risk of losing our jobs this week.
And do you think it's going to go much past this weekend, Adam?
Well, I think if it's anything like 2013, we have at least several weeks of furlough, which who knows if we'll get repaid for it, especially with both the House and Senate controlled by Republicans who don't seem to care much for the people in the federal government. I mean, we've seen that time and time again.
Were you a federal worker in 2013 as well?
No, I wasn't. No, I'm a recent federal, so I've never had to go through this process. But the current administration is really stressing me out, giving me not a good chance, not a good entry into the federal workforce that I would come to expect under an Obama administration. I think something like this, especially had Obama had a House and Senate controlled by Democrats, would have never happened. And you just can't hold bills like DACA or programs like DACA under like a hostage situation just to get funding for a wall that is completely unnecessary and he's changed his opinion on several times. I mean, this administration is absurd, and I just can't believe that the divisiveness between the two parties has reached an all-time high. I mean, most people in America are moderates. It's true, but this administration and the way that the world is working, it has created this division where you need to pick a side. I mean, we're all in the middle, and we know what morals, where our moral standpoint is. And it doesn't mean kicking people out of this country and putting them in a country they've never been just because they're undocumented. It's absurd.
And Adam, what does this mean for you as far as being a worker come Monday, or if it extends longer, paying the bills?
It means I won't be able to, unfortunately. It's because of this hostage kind of situation that the Republicans have perpetuated in the Senate.
Okay, so I wanted to mute C-SPAN for a sec, everyone, because right now I want to read a comment from Pine Power, Long Island. Let me fix my mic here for a sec. I apologize for that. There we go. Okay, so a very good couple comments coming in live from Pine Power. So I'm going to read a few comments. So there we go. Because again, I can understand why he's upset with these crazy liberals. Okay, with regards to his comments, first of all, this is a live stream from me, and I'm also playing the desktop audio from WCSP Radio in Washington, D.C., and if you want to listen to it, I'm going to put it on here as well. But let's read a few comments. He said that he's not really a loyal Democrat. They'll hold the entire federal government hostage to protect a bunch of illegal aliens. So he's referring to, of course, the DACA thing that Nancy Pelosi is trying to force down Donald Trump's throat. Donald Trump doesn't want DACA, so that's why we are in this crazy situation. And he used to be a loyalist to the party years ago, but now all they care about is, again, protecting the illegal immigrants. It's mostly their fault. And he didn't mention Nancy Pelosi by name, but they'd rather protect them than natural-born citizens. And again, I can understand his other comment about, oh, Westbury. Well, I'm going to be honest about the town of Westbury, is that with regards to the illegals who have taken over the neighborhood, it's that ICE honestly should be going to Post Avenue and at least doing an investigation. It's reasonable to call for a federal investigation on what's going on over there in the town of Westbury. And yes, you could say, oh, well, Old Country Road, they have all those shops over there. And listen, I've known about this since John told me this about a year or two ago. And I agree with him. Post Avenue is a mess. No one goes there anymore. I used to remember as a kid, everybody would go down there to go to the shops. And now, because of this crazy demographic change over there, the most reasonable thing the town of Westbury can do, before I go into the C-SPAN audio again, is that the federal government goes with ICE. In regards to ICE goes there, they show up and conduct an investigation, and they make a decision on what goes on. Do they deport people? Do they figure out that the National Guard should be called in? Because calling in the National Guard really wouldn't solve anything for Westbury. But the most reasonable thing ICE would do is, at least in the short run, if they were to go to Post Avenue and see these suspicious claims that, again, we don't really know what's going on, but there is video proof. I know that the town of Westbury, and particularly around Post Avenue, has all these illegals hanging out over there, is that ICE conduct an investigation, and then they go over there and take a look at what's really going on. And quickly, before I go back to C-SPAN, I want to say that here in Fresh Meadows specifically, we don't have that problem, because again, it's honestly, this is one of the most boring neighborhoods in all of New York City. Nothing ever happens here. Maybe you have one. I know once at night I got woken up because a couple had this guy pulled on my street, and he was having a domestic argument with someone. The girl's like, "Screw it, I'm gonna go home." And, you know, it was late at night, and I was going to give the lady directions to go to the bus stop, but, you know, I didn't want to wake up my parents, so, eek. If she said she was going out, like, I would have at least given her transit directions to figure out where she needs to go. But I digress. Oh, and recently I've seen the homeless hanging around 73rd Avenue in Cunningham Park, so I'm driven away to go away from Cunningham Park lately because of them. Again, this is about illegal aliens, and that's why the government is shut down right now. That's a whole other issue with homeless in NYC, but we're talking about the... Well, let's see if John commented again. I would love to be fair to him. It's important that he's heard, because in his life, he's never heard. I'm going to listen. Alright, no new... Oh, here we go. 2 new comments 2 minutes ago. DACA destroyed Westbury and made my life a living hell. And he agrees. Immigrations and Customs should be doing raids in Westbury. Well, raids is one thing, but I researched this carefully. All ICE can logically do in that situation is they come in, they assess the situation, they see if anything suspicious is going on. They would have to honestly get, first of all, the Nassau County Police Department involved, because they're the ones who'd have to join in, and then maybe the FBI gets involved in too, because you would need the federal government besides ICE to just show up on Post Avenue. You know, that would be an interesting situation, but a raid really wouldn't be fair to, let's say, any illegal alien, because this needs to be done reasonably and fairly. And if they don't have a green card, honestly, the way I look at it is that situation is dealt with privately by ICE, dealt privately with the Nassau County Police Department specifically, and maybe the FBI. I wouldn't know, but you know, if Pine Power is upset with this DACA thing, I can't blame him. I can understand why he can blame ICE on... Here we go. Another comment. Fresh Meadows is great, whereas Wastebury, which is true, is nothing but illegals and bodegas. The DACA Act destroyed Wastebury, around Post Avenue, because it dumped hundreds of illegals into Wastebury. And yes, this is true. You've seen MS-13 go into Brentwood, and President Trump was there a few months ago making that controversial comment. He was telling the Suffolk County Police, please don't be too nice. Look, I'm very, very reasonable when it comes to how we treat illegal aliens. I mean, things have to be done calmly. You just don't raid a town and say, oh, we're going to deport that person, we're going to deport that person. No, what needs to be done is something fair. And the fair thing to do is at least do an investigation. That's the most reasonable thing that ICE can do. They are there to assess a situation. And if they see anything suspicious, because, you know, some of them are criminals, not just, you know, crossing the border, but some of them do commit crimes. And if they see something wrong, well, they should contact the Nassau County Police Department, because that's what the Nassau County Police Department does. There's a precinct in Mineola. They can get dispatched if they see anything, for all we know. And from there, ICE can maybe call the FBI in. I wouldn't know, but the FBI would have to get involved anyway. Any new comment from Pine Power? We'll check right now. Okay, another new comment. No one wants to live there. Worse with LI on par with Hempstead, who in their right mind is going to pay school taxes to Nassau County to help illegals and have them to pay for private school for their kids. Well, my situation was I went to a special ed school, and special ed because I will admit I have a disability, and I'm going to do a video on it in April for a good reason, but as far as funding is concerned for Nassau County, Westbury is going to get misfunded because of this situation, but take things by time if you're a lifelong Westbury resident. Oh, here's another situation that he just commented. No one rented his old apartment there by Post Avenue because no one wants to live there. Exactly. Thank you. Wow. I'm sorry for shouting, but my parents are still up because it's still, my mom's still technically celebrating her birthday, but yeah, with regards to Wastebury, that's the way I see it. I mean, when I think of raid with ICE, one movie example I can think of, maybe Pine Power knows what I'm talking about, is the remake of Fun with Dick and Jane. Now, this was a movie back in the 70s. Oh, he's contacted Nassau County Police plenty, but nothing was ever done. Nassau County Police Department pretty much acted like their hands were tied. That's the Nassau County Police for you. They love to go to Dunkin'. Not all of them like to go to Dunkin' Donuts, but they love going to Dunkin' Donuts on Hempstead Turnpike. You'll see their cars there. But yeah, when I think of raid, I think of that scene in the remake of Fun with Dick and Jane where Jim Carrey's trying to fake like he's an illegal immigrant, and they try to arrest him because they think he is illegally crossing the border. He is an illegal alien, but, you know. Oh, even the main pizza place is closed. See, that's sad, because when I think of Westbury, I think of the other Mama Teresa's on Old Country Road by Wantagh Parkway. And again, I understand he's talking about Post Avenue again, but Post Avenue's Post Avenue. Things need to be done over there, but Westbury still has problems, I will say that. And when I think of raids, I think of a very controversial term that I'm not going to say on this channel, but I'm a little bit of a historian, and I'm going to call this in the politically correct term of Operation Raid for one reason, and that was because in 1954, President Eisenhower said that we need to deport and do a raid on the illegal aliens who were crossing our border. And again, I'm sorry for being politically correct, but the W word is a very offensive term, and I'm not going to say it on this channel. But if you want to type it up politically correct on Google, you want to do your own research, and I know people could get offended, type in 1954 Eisenhower illegal immigrants, and you'll see what comes up, because it's an interesting Google thing about illegal immigrants. And maybe back in the 50s they would have done something in Westbury, but this is the 2010s, so I'm sorry, Pine. It's just that I'm a big movie buff, and I've seen both versions of Fun with Dick and Jane. I've seen the Jane Fonda version, and I've seen the Jim Carrey version. So yeah. I didn't know Alfredo's went out of business. That's sad. They used to be along the main track of Post, right off the Parkway. So you know what Westbury's becoming a problem. Oh my goodness. Well, as long as Mama Teresa's is still on Old Country Road, then I'll be fine with that. Okay, so oh, yeah, I would be relieved, too. I mean, Mineola's a... Listen, I have an ex-girlfriend who lives in Mineola, and she loves her town. She's a native Mineolan, but Mineola is where the Nassau County Legislature building is. That's where the Theodore Roosevelt building is. I was thinking of going to the next NICE hearing to at least have me and John's voice heard regarding trying to bring back the MTA to Long Island, but again, this is about the federal government shutting down. This is about what's going to happen in the midterms, because right now, I think we are going to experience the closest midterm election we have ever seen in American history. I think, exactly, there you go. But I think this is going to be the closest midterms we will ever see in our lifetimes. This is the one that matters. Okay, so right now I'm going to try to pull up Let's Talk Elections feed. Is he on right now? Okay, apparently I think he's off the air. And I'm going to pull up PBS on my phone right now. Oh! Right now I have Senator Schumer on the on the feed right now. Let me try to pull him up. And I'm sorry if John doesn't want to hear Schumer, but if he wants to talk to me in the comments, he's more than welcome to, because let's continue talking. This is big. This is huge. Let me see if I can put it on, everyone. I'll put it through my headset, because again, I'm pulling it up on my phone because PBS is still doing the live stream right now. I've never paid PBS to keep my stations on. Oh boy.
And the blame should crash entirely on President Trump's shoulders.
Right now it's
this will be called the Trump shutdown. This will be called.
Come on, I can't listen. But
the Trump shutdown.
Right, I'll be right back, everyone.
Because there is
There's
no
the
one,
audio if you can listen to it.
No one who deserves the blame for the position we find ourselves in more than President Trump. He walked away from 2 bipartisan deals, including one today in which I even put the border wall on the table. What will it take for President Trump to say yes and learn how to execute the rudiments of government? Tomorrow marks a year to the day President Trump took the oath of office on the Capitol steps. Unfortunately, A Trump shutdown would be a perfect encapsulation of the chaos he's unleashed on our government. Instead of bringing us all together, he's pulled us apart. Instead of governing from the middle, he's outsourced his presidency to the extremes. Instead of living up to the great deal maker he marketed himself to be, he's been the single driving force in scuttling bipartisan deals in Congress. And now at this late hour, his behavior is on the verge of grinding our government to a halt, a Trump shutdown. Democrats will continue to strive for a bipartisan agreement on all of the outstanding issues. I know there are men and women of goodwill on the other side of the aisle who are just as upset as I am with the direction we're headed in. I plead with them to see reason and prevail upon their leaders, and most of all the President, to give us the space to work together, to let us do the job the American people sent us here to do. When President Trump decides he is finally ready to lead his party to a deal, Democrats will be ready, willing, and eager to clinch it. There is a path forward. We can reach it quickly. Tomorrow, the President and the four leaders should immediately sit down and finish this deal so the entire government can get back to work on Monday. Yield the floor.
And hearing there from both leaders in the Senate, 32 minutes into the federal government officially shutting down. That vote, not enough to reach the number 60 that was needed in order to invoke cloture on the CR. It failed 50 to 49, and just a rundown here of some of the votes. Democrats.
We're going to go back now to the Senate Live. Senator McConnell making his way back to the floor.
5 courageous Democrats on the other side who stood up to this ridiculous argument that it made sense somehow to shut down the government over an illegal immigration issue that the vast majority of this body would like to do something about anyway. So I want to particularly commend the 5 Democrats who had the courage to stand up to this ridiculous strategy that put their whole party in an incredible predicament, because, as the White House just indicated, the president's not going to talk about the issue at all while the government's shut down. He made it quite clear. He said, when Democrats start paying our armed forces and first responders, we'll reopen negotiations on immigration reform. So this particular strategy has eliminated the possibility of getting a signature on the thing they shut the government down over. Anybody explain to me this strategy? I'm perplexed. I wasn't first in my class, but I wasn't last either. How does this get them what they're looking for? Well, we'll continue to talk, because when all the games stop, the issues are still there. Every single one of them are still there. The American people expect us to act like adults, to get together and solve the problems. Now, I'll be offering an amendment to change the date to February the 8th. We'll unfortunately not be able to get that vote tonight, but I'll be subsequently asking for consent. But at some point here, we'll be voting on February the 8th, and that's the date that the senator from South Carolina, senior senator from South Carolina, and I've been talking about, the Democratic leader and I have been talking about, which begins to move a little bit closer to where our friends on the other side said they wanted to be. but a reasonable period of time. It takes into account the State of the Union, party conferences, and just the amount of time it takes to actually write a bill once you have an agreement. I mean, you can't just reach an agreement and snap like your fingers and everything falls into place and you're ready to go. So a reasonable period to first agree and then write and get ready to pass this negotiated settlement that we've been working on for months, February the 8th is a very reasonable time. And so I'm going to give, I hear there's sentiment for that on both sides of the aisle. I hope so at some point. We'll vote on that option. I can't get that vote tonight, but I'm going to ask consent to have that vote tonight. I move, Mr. President, to table the motion to refer.
As for the yeas and nays.
Is there a sufficient second? There is. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Alexander.
Aye.
All right, so right now you just heard that Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitchell McConnell is on the floor begging his colleagues to have another vote, and this vote would mean that the government would be funded until the date is right. That would be Thursday, February 8th. So that's what they are trying to file a motion on right now to see if, and this is a big if, they can at least keep funding for the federal government until February 8th. And he said, oh, well, this might not happen until tomorrow morning. Can't we just all get some sleep and then let the media overnight get crazy? That's what he was trying to say. Well, no. We elected you to do a job. If it's a 24-hour job, then so be it. Work 24 hours, drink some Mountain Dew, drink some coffee. I don't care what it takes. This is our government right now, everyone. This is our government. This is the reality we all face tonight. Read the comments again. Okay, let's read the comments. I sound stupid when I do my dumb redneck impersonation voice, and I'm used to it because again, I'm also a Maryland resident, and I hear the down south accent from people who've come from Virginia. So let's see. Yeah, I bet it's cool because the illegals always wind up taking over the lower middle class areas, and the safe areas get more expensive, so only rich people can live here. And then this is another comment that the Democrats almost tried forcing and pricing him out of Nassau County in particular. And I've mentioned in the past that I can't move to Nassau because, again, I don't want to pay $3,000-$4,000 more in taxes. I mean, comparing to how my taxes have gotten up in the past couple years in this city, certainly cheaper than Nassau County. That's for sure. Especially how I live in an outer borough, so that's another benefit, and how Manhattan charges way more taxes than Queens does. Oh, yeah, I mean, I would have emotional scars too if I was in Westbury. I would be heartbroken too if that was my town. I would be annoyed just like you. And I feel that the president, like you, and I certainly agree, is that the president really hasn't done enough for illegal immigration. There's still things that are being missed, and one example is the old grand area of Post Avenue in Westbury, Nassau County. Alright, so let's go back to C-SPAN, and we're going to see what's going on over there. Okay, right now it's just... let's try to get 10-10 win zone again. I love trying to get 10-10 win zone again. This is so confusing. I found 10-10 wins earlier. Oh, here it is. Here's an update.
Dismantle one part of the amendment tree. That's how they get some of these pieces of legislation through the Senate to the CR to allow for further amendments to be authored. A February 8th date change. So instead of being through February 16th, we could see something that would allow them to change the date to February 8th. Majority vote needed. So not the 60, but only a...
All right, let's try to get 10-10 wins on everyone, and we'll see.
George Washington Bridge, upper level's the way to go. Both directions,
10-10 wins. Let's listen.
Until 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm Jeff Jensen. Next report, 12:51 on 10-10 Wins.
Wins news time, 12:42. The federal government has officially shut down 42 minutes ago. The Senate held a vote this evening on a measure that would have averted the shutdown. It did not pass. The final vote was 50-49. ABC News political director Rick Klein says it looks like both sides are sticking to their talking points ahead of the midterm elections.
There are some Republicans that I've spoken to the last few days who are wary of the possibility that President Trump's going to turn on them and turn this against Congress. And I think that dynamic, where you don't even have the president necessarily standing with his own party, his negotiations with Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leader, excluding the Republicans, it really suggests that kind of the worst of all of the finger pointing. And there's been so much pre-positioning around all of this.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders put out a statement saying, quote, "We will not negotiate the status of unlawful immigrants while Democrats hold our lawful citizens hostage over their reckless demands." She added, "When Democrats start paying our armed forces and first responders, we will reopen negotiations on immigration reform." So the White House and Republicans in Congress are blaming the Democrats, and the Democrats point to the fact that the Republicans control the White House, the Senate, and the House, and are blaming Republicans. So the blame game goes on. How that will play out, who knows? But right now, the federal government has shut down. Another Olympic gold medalist testified against Dr. Larry Nassar at his multi-day sentencing hearing in Michigan.
Six-time Olympic gold medalist and former captain of the U.S. Olympic team, Aly Raisman, called Dr. Larry Nassar pathetic and said she's no longer a victim to his abuse, but a survivor. She also turned her attention to USA Gymnastics, which she says is rotting from the inside.
USA Gymnastics, where is the honesty? Where is the transparency? Why must the manipulation continue?
After speaking, the judge told Raisman she was never the problem, but is now so much the solution.
Correspondent Ryan Burrow, Wins News Time 12:44.
PSEG Long Island is making it easier than ever to stay informed about your service and manage your bill. My Alerts puts the power of control at your fingertips. Report outages, get updates on power restoration, even pay your electric bill with a single text. It's that fast, making your electric service easier.
Get on Obamacare, which I didn't want to do because my premiums just jumped and jumped and jumped. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's like, what do? You have to do what you have to do. But you know what? I think the Congress, the Senate, the House, they should be on term limits. You have to clean out these people because you know what? They sit there and they reap and they just line their pockets. And I don't think it's the right thing to do. It's like with the shutdown, it's like, really? Come on. Do your job.
Okay, so we're going to quickly go back to my microphone in a sec. So you just heard the official update from WINS here in New York City. And thankfully, again, I want to thank Apple, I want to thank iTunes for making this easier tonight to do this live stream and flipping back to WINS and flipping back to, of course, C-SPAN radio, and With C-SPAN, again, they're a fair source. They don't have any bias over there. Like, that's how they've been doing it over there for years. But C-SPAN is a very friendly government source when it comes to all this stuff. And you heard how before midnight, 50 to 49 votes. They need 60 to try to avert a shutdown. And you heard Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, if you're just tuning in, you just heard Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, if you can rewind back if you want, but he said that if possible tomorrow morning, later on this morning, well, it's after midnight here in New York, but it's almost 1 o'clock, he is trying to get a February 8th extension, and then this mess will come back all over again in February, which is something that we all don't want. We as Americans, and I'm speaking up for everybody right now, we as Americans don't want these petty politics to keep necessary government services from being shut down. What we want is a deal that will be in place for long term. I don't know how long it will be, but somebody needs to speak up. And right now, nobody on that Senate floor is speaking up. And now, you want proof? I'll give you proof. Just go to just open up another tab right now. Open up another tab if you're on your computer right now, or go on your phone, or do whatever right now. Go to PBS right now. I dare you, go to PBS right now and see what's going on over there. See what's going on over there on the Senate floor, because this is despicable. All they're just doing is walking and talking, and one guy's just trying to go up to the podium right now. This is real action? I really hope they don't leave that Senate floor tonight. I really hope they don't. Because this is now becoming a 24-hour cycle. This is how it's ended up. And again, I might want to end my stream in a few minutes because I really want to hit the hay. Because honestly, if I put C-SPAN right now, looks like they're trying to vote right now. I think that's... Let me rewind back. Okay, it looks like they're trying to vote on the February 8th extension. So we'll get an update. Let me put C-SPAN radio on. See what's going on. Yeah, nothing's going on C-SPAN. Nothing on there right now. Rewind it for a sec. That was Senator McConnell a few minutes ago. Okay, so I think I'm going to be fair to the audience. I think I'm going to be fair to myself that I'm gonna end the stream because if I haven't, I'll probably do an update in the morning. But right now, it's hectic, chaotic. They're trying to do something to extend it to February 8th. So... Brand new comments from Pine Power. Let's read them. I really wish he was my co-commentator tonight. Because if he had a headset like I did, then it would be easier. Because right now I'm just standing here in the studio. It's like those NFL commentators. You see Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth, they have the mic on and they're standing in front of the camera. This is like my thing, so let me read it. Yeah, exactly. I tried convincing you to come to Queens. I told you, at least you have New York City bus here. Yeah, Trump hasn't done enough. The problem is Ivanka and Kushner are Democrats, and I think it's having some influence. President Trump and the GOP need to unite and get together on getting the illegals out. That's what led them to winning in the 2016 election, and that's what they need to get back to. And yes, Ivanka and Jared need to be out of that administration because they're part of the elitist Wall Street type. Yeah, and right now they're not serving us. They're not serving us. They're just bickering and arguing, and all they're just doing is, no, I, no, I, no, I. It's such a repeating thing. Let's listen to this call on C-SPAN right now. This is really good. Let me put it up.
Immigrants himself. This was just thrown in as, well, he's had a year. We've obstructed him pretty much all the way, so we can't let him have a celebratory day for his year that he's done so much for the citizens of America.
And what about being in Mesa, Maureen, in terms of immigration, what you want to see there, the shutdown?
As far as that goes, I am on disability, so it won't affect me, thank God. But I have seen DACA should never have been part of it. I saw in the Phoenix bus terminal unaccompanied children coming from not Mexico, Ecuador. And they were just walking right through, and this was under the Obama administration. So to throw that into the I have to have it, otherwise I won't let you have 3 weeks, which I agree we should have a balanced budget, but it isn't just Republicans' problems. It's all their problems.
Maureen, you mentioned President Trump. This is his 1-year anniversary of being in office. Mark Knoller with CBS is just tweeting that the White House just posted the president's public schedule for today. Nothing on it. No flight to his Palm Beach estate, which was postponed yesterday. He had a big money fundraiser planned for this evening to mark the anniversary of his inauguration. His budget director, Mick Mulvaney, says the president will not be going to that. Beth's calling from Woodbridge, Virginia. Independent line. Hi, Beth.
Hello. Thank you for taking my call. I'm an independent. I vote both Democratic and Republican. I vote for the best candidate. I actually find this entire situation appalling. I'm disgusted and embarrassed by all of the elected officials. Quite frankly, I expect better from our Congress. Right now, I don't think either party is capable of leading the legislative branch of our country. I don't think we should have ever gotten to a CR situation with our budget. The budget should have been passed on time. Both of the speakers called on the other party to action, but neither one of them called on members of their own party to action to help resolve this situation. And my opinion is, if Congress can't play together in the sandbox, then we need to vote every one of them out and replace them with congressmen who can play together in the sandbox. It's getting ridiculous. And, my family is directly impacted by this CR, this furlough. Unless something is passed this weekend, my husband will not be going to work on Monday.
You're right in Woodbridge, not too far away from D.C.
Yes, I am. My husband has dedicated over 30 years to the Department of the Navy to ensure that our sailors have the equipment and ships in proper working order in repair and maintenance so that they can go out and do our job to protect our country. And for a bunch of politicians to not be able to come to consensus on something and not have our military, and for me specifically the Department of the Navy, not to have our ships undergoing repair and maintenance so that they can do their job protecting our country is shameful. Shame on them. Shame on Congress.
Thanks for your call, Beth, in Woodbridge, Virginia. Laura Litvand with Bloomberg with a shutdown update. The Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, is setting up a new vote to extend government funding until February 8th. The Senate will have to vote on this no later than Monday. He'll seek consent of all senators to move it up, but at least initially is not expected to prevail. Taking your phone calls about an hour now into the shutdown. Kiwan's calling from Hearn, Texas. Democrats line.
Yes.
Hey, Kiwan, I hear your television in the background. If you can mute it, you might be able to hear us better, but go ahead with your question.
Yeah, hold on just a minute, ma'am.
You bet.
Let me get the remote.
Okay. Hey, Kiwan, I hear your television in the background.
Yes, I got the TV down now. I can hear you clearly.
All right, Kiwan, go ahead.
Right now, the reason why I'm calling is that I'm speaking out, on the guy that called earlier. He's a Republican. I did not believe anything that he said about. I did not believe anything he said. About President Obama and Bill and President Clinton and all. Everything he said about these two presidents was was absolutely pure nonsense. And the stuff he said about, Donald Trump, coming out there, and the stuff he said about, when Hurricane Harvey hit, that Donald Trump went out there and helped his people out. He didn't do nothing. He went out there to show himself out, taking pictures with his people and all. He didn't do a damn thing. He didn't do nothing. He went out there showing himself off. And all the stuff about that, and all the stuff about when Obama was president for the past 8 years, all the stuff about that, that he hasn't done nothing for these people.
All right, I am back. I kept C-SPAN radio on because I had to let my dog out one more time tonight for him to go to the bathroom. I know as a pet owner I have to spoil my dog as much as he can, but if he doesn't go out one more time, I can't get him through the night sleeping, because I've regretted other nights where he goes like 3 a.m. in the morning and he wakes me up and he tells me he has to go. So I'll take him out now when he's sleeping and groggy. I'm gonna regret it, and he had to do his business. But if you're just tuning in, it's 1 a.m. here in New York, 10 p.m. on the West Coast. Ooh, boy. 10 p.m. on the West Coast. We are now officially an hour into the government shutdown. The update I have from a Bloomberg source, and you just heard it on C-SPAN radio, is that Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is trying to fund the government through February 8th, which is Thursday, February 8th. And that's the update right now. Matt, I feel bad that you're watching this on MSNBC. I wouldn't even be watching cable news right now. At least I want to hear these people on C-SPAN vent, because it's fair to them to hear their voices. And they're on the internet too. They don't realize that WCSP is a free radio station, which is sponsored. So, oof, boy. You know what's crazy? I have cousins in Annapolis, right? And sometimes, this cousin of mine tells me, sometimes I will put WCSP on, because Annapolis, you can pick it up sometimes, but it's just that right now we're in this crazy situation. That's the way I see it. So I am thinking of disembending the live stream right now because I'm just annoyed, fed up, and let me check the comments quickly and then I'll end the video. Is it going to be fair to the people who are commenting? No comments. Alright, so I'm gonna end it right now. I'm gonna just hit stop and I'll come back tomorrow and give an update then. But nothing looking good right now. And just one quick note, tomorrow if I have to like do errands around my house, if you know it involves Teddy Dog, if I have to, you know, get ready to go out tomorrow for my mom's birthday, it'll be easier to put the C-SPAN stream up, and you know it'll be easier to do it that way. But okay, double checking the comments one more time. Nothing. Oh, good, Matt. Good decision. Because you're better off watching C-SPAN than Don Lemon or Brian Williams or maybe even Hannity or Ingram at this point, because it's a big mess with cable news. Oh, update.
February 8th continuing resolution, and the continuing resolution, that CR, that will fund the government through February 8th if they can make this happen. Right now, Mitch McConnell, the majority leader, trying to change the process so that they can change the date on that continuing resolution. And our C-SPAN producer up on Capitol Hill, Craig Kaplan, saying that there looks like there's going to be a session in the House as well. They're expected to return at 9 a.m. this morning Eastern time for morning votes on the continuing resolution. So we'll keep you posted on that. Taking your phone calls. I've got a line, caller on the line for Independence and others, calling from Raleigh, North Carolina. This is Andrea. Hi, Andrea.
Yeah.
Okay, so C-SPAN's going to be on all night if you're that desperate and if you are losing sleep over this, because again, I gotta try to get to sleep because again, it's supposed to be a happy weekend for me because again, it's my mom's birthday and you know, I want to be fair to her. And quick update about that. I actually heard that I might be seeing my parents' friends tomorrow, so I don't want to be mean to them either, but boy. Oh, new comment from Pine Power. Pine Power says, hasta la vista for tonight. Sorry for making the Al Pacino reference, but yeah, good night. Hopefully you can schedule a transit-related stream and talk about how great the Babylon Well, again, John, I'm looking forward to the parking video because that's going to be interesting, and I want to know if Massapequa will be mentioned. But one quick comment I want to say is that at least with Fresh Meadows, and if you want to access the Pine Barrens, you can do it from here. I mean, where Pine Lawn is and all the other areas of the Pines are. You prefer Ronkonkoma? Well, Ronkonkoma is right at Jamaica. The only negative thing is that long wait for the elevator. But it's worth it for me because the Q30 or Q31 drops me off blocks away from the studio here in Fresh Meadows. So there's that benefit. And to end the last thing, that way I can be, you know, I don't be rude to Matt Camper. If I have stuff to do in the house tomorrow, I will still keep the C-SPAN stream on as long as iTunes Radio is working, because it should be. If it's not, I don't know what's going to happen here, but I'll quickly check in on the floor of the Senate right now. Yep, they're just walking on there right now. It's 1:06 in the morning, so I'm just walking figuring stuff out. So, on the stream, thank you for everybody who's paid attention tonight. And I'll be, again, fair to the audience tomorrow as well. And I'll try to keep the streams going as much as possible, because right now we're in a very dysfunctional state with our government right now. It's just something I need to continue doing. It's something that I need to keep talking about. Yes, as I said, tomorrow I should be able to have a stream ready, have it for C-SPAN radio, most case, from the desktop playing it, as long as I can make it fair to everyone. And I'll still use this same photo tomorrow because it's going to be easier to do it that way. But yeah, that's where I end it. So thank you all for tuning in. And best case scenario would be to check back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.